And hello, our viewers. My name is Videlis Njoki, and this is my sign name. Welcome back to our show, a show where we show different stories, and this show is the voice show. We invite different guests to come and share their stories here, where we try to teach, educate, and also create awareness. We also make sure we give opportunities for people who want to advocate. And I hope our viewers you're ready to join us here at Science TV. Don't forget to please follow us on YouTube and all other social media platforms. It's Science TV, and you'll watch us on TV every Friday at 8 p.m. here at on TV. And if you miss any show, you can watch us on YouTube and you just type in the voice show and you will be able to see us. And here we have our guest. Welcome to the show. Please feel free and comfortable. I would like you to introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Jacinta, and this is my sign name. I'm happy to be here on the voice show.
Welcome. Maybe you can tell us something or answer some of the concerns that you may be having, because some of the people might have a question to about, maybe they will want to know your disability. Can you tell us more?
Personally, I'm deaf, and I advocate for a girl child with a disability, and also I am a sex reproductive health educator for the girl child and the women. This is my
This,
sign name.
you see, her name is Jacinta, and this is her sign name. Okay, Jacinta, can you please tell us about your advocacy work? So, when you're advocating for young girls and women, with you said you advocate for young girls and women with disability. Can you tell us a story of how you got yourself to start that work?
Okay, before I started,
We would like to understand why or the journey that you had for you to be able to feel you have to advocate for women and children, women and young women with disability.
so when I was young, there was a lot of oppression, and my friends experienced a lot of stigma from the society, them having a disability and being a woman or a child at the same time. So on this time, they didn't know what to do, and they didn't have any work. And most, as we can see, the society feels that a woman with disability cannot succeed, or a woman with disability cannot have a child because they are special in a such way, and they cannot get opportunity to go to school or something. And also, most of the time, we've gotten complaints where girls with disability are being raped or they're being violated in different ways, and they keep quiet, they don't report. And they avoid going to report these cases to the police because they feel ashamed, because that's how the society has made them feel. And also, um uh, we've seen the deaf intermarry with the hearing, and a lot of these marriages are out here. But now the problem comes in with the language barrier. So most of the time, it becomes hard when they are in the house, how they can communicate, how they can do different stuffs together. But because the hearing are not sometimes are not ready to learn sign language, so that brings in the language barrier factor. And also, you see, if there is language barrier, then they will have problems emerging in the family. And also, when when they open business for these deaf women, you see at sometimes they will be successful, but they are discriminated against everything. So that's when I got the urge of advocating, and I got the interest to advocate, so that hearing people can also learn sign language, and also they will be interested, so as to avoid the stigma, because the stigma is not good. So this got me to encourage them and learn sign language, so that they can also interact with the deaf, and this can lead to a success of we together. So this encouraged me to push and continue ahead.
Okay, you've said something very important about your work. And among the things that you've said is the stigma that people face. Maybe can you make that point clearer or expound more, maybe with stories on that topic of stigma? Maybe if it has happened near you, can you please expound more on that?
So when I was young, I was born hearing, and I went to normal hearing primary school up to class 4. That's when I became deaf. But before I became deaf, uh, there was one teacher who saw that I was sick, and I had problems with my ears because those are some pearls oozing out. So that teacher didn't want to associate with me. So at some point, she discriminated me. Then I thank God there was one teacher who took me, and we went to the hospital, and they took care of me. So, but other teachers didn't want to be close to me. They even didn't want me to be in their class. They wanted me to go to a deaf school. But I insisted on staying in that class and continue learning with the other students. So at the same time, when I went home, I was living with my mom, with me and my mom. So my mother, because I was deaf, at some point she was, I think, scared, and she told people. So this was a big problem between me and her. So when I finished Form 4, I left and I went back home.
So did you run from home or what happened?
I just left school, and that time I was 17 years old.
So you're the firstborn, or are you?
No, I'm the last born of my parents. So that time I dropped out of school, and so later,
Was it after a long period of time when you left, or how long did you stay away and then you came back?
I stayed for 2 years. So after 2 years, that's the time that I ran away from home, because and this time I did not communicate with any of my family because of the stigma and discrimination that I had faced. So I didn't want that to repeat again, because we had problems every time there was emerging a problem, one or another. So when I went away, I got pregnant.
So when you went away, you went to stay with a boyfriend, or what happened?
No, I just ran away from home, and I went somewhere to stay alone. I stayed alone.
Okay, continue, please.
So I stayed alone from the age of since the age of 17 till now, and I've met different people. Some were favorite in my life. So at this period of time, I started looking for ways, and this time, my parents didn't agree to either support me, and I didn't know any other deaf out here. So these all challenges and everything that I experienced and anything was on me. My parents weren't concerned about my life.
Okay, so you just left everything and you did not want to include people or share anything.
No,
I'm
I
really
didn't.
sorry about that.
All the responsibility now were on my shoulders.
So when you stayed away for the 2 years, did your parents or maybe your mother come to look for you or ask for your sisters?
No.
Nobody came to look for you until when you decided to go back home.
Yeah.
Okay, that was quite harsh.
So that time, remember, I'm pregnant. So that's when I decided to go home. So I went back home in 2010 December.
Okay.
So that's the time I decided, now let me go back home. So I stayed home till 2013. So I stayed home in Mombasa, and this time I was now interacting with friends.
So when you escaped, where were you living before? And you were living with hearing people in Mombasa, or what was happening?
So for me, I stayed in Mombasa, and I started looking for deaf friends who I could interact with. So that's when I got a boyfriend, and this boyfriend of mine was also deaf. So we understood each. The first time we couldn't understand each other well, but later we understood each other. Sorry, the first time we understood each other very well, but later we started having problems because of, I think, some inclusion pro issues. So that's when we decided to separate, and I continued with my life alone, staying alone.
Maybe you had really had a lot of mates and everything happening around on sign.
So in Mombasa, there is a period of time where we celebrate Deaf Awareness Month. So at that period, we had the deaf. Most of them come to Mombasa to celebrate. Others will volunteer. So for me, I volunteered at that period of time here in Nairobi, and we exchanged numbers with different people. So when I come to Nairobi, I stay at my friend's house, and she could take care of me. So later, my friend, who was I had two friends, one hearing and the other one was deaf. So this one, the hearing, we had problems and challenges because of the interpretation issue.
Okay, viewers, we're going to take a short break and we'll be back to continue with this interesting story from the center. Welcome back, our viewers, as we continue with this interesting and fascinating story. So, welcome back. Please tell us something about you. Before you were telling us something about how you ran from home for 2 years, and then you started your life alone. And when you came back, your parents and your mother, time you came back, how was the and you've also told us about your interaction with your friend, or was everything happening? Please give us the timelines about everything, how everything was happening at this time.
So when the time I disappeared from home, I went to stay with that friend of mine in Nairobi, and we interacted very well. And later, that's when I met a man, a boyfriend, who was hearing.
So what time was this? What timeline was this? Was this after you were back home or before?
Before I went back home. So I met my boyfriend when I was 19 years old. So we interacted, and he suggested I go for a training. So in that training, in that training, I met this hearing man, and we started dating. And after a period of time, I got pregnant. So when I got pregnant, that's when it dawned on me that this guy has another woman. So that's when I decided to go to Mombasa to stay with my friend, and this is her sign name. So she really helped me with some fare that I used to go to Mombasa. So when I arrived in Mombasa, she asked me, who is responsible for your pregnancy, and can you go back home? Are you considering to go back home? But she didn't really ask me a lot of questions.
So did they accept, or did they have any concerns or what?
Yes, she was concerned, but she didn't want to question about the pregnancy. She only asked, where is the man responsible for your pregnancy? I told her, and she said okay, but other concerns she really didn't want to know, and she accepted me to stay at her place.
So when you went back home pregnant, this was after how long did you stay there? How many months of pregnancy did you have?
Going back home, I was 2 months pregnant. So I stayed home the time I gave birth. So my auntie didn't really believe that I could give birth. So for me, I really didn't understand this point, because what were they expecting? They didn't expect me to give birth, or what did they expect? So at some point, Pia, they didn't. They felt that I could not take care of the child, and they felt that I was a burden, and I had brought the baby back home for them to take care of the child. So for me, I decided to focus on the child. And when I gave birth through C-section.
So who took you to the hospital? Or how was the hospital taken care of?
Some church members came to my help. So I understood the situation at that period of time, and some for my families, they just used to come once in a while in the hospital to visit, and they go. So when I gave birth, my friend is the one who came to take care of me at home and also in the hospital. And they talked to the man who was responsible to come to the hospital. At that time, my mom had planned something, because she had a business. So she had saved some cash, and she didn't want me to have problems or issues with the child, taking care of the child. But later, we came to have differences with the man. So my mother also changed at a period of time, and we had arguments. And since I had not healed that much, because I've told you I had a C-section, so she needed me to really start working, and my mom did not understand that I had not healed. So she insisted, and at some point she started gossiping, and this really wasn't good. And also she was shouting, and I'm deaf, and I can't really feel her, so it was like a problem on my side. So when my sisters come, all she could say was I'm lying or something. So, but for me on my side, I had to respect her, but she felt that I was not respecting her enough. So that was the time when the baby was 2 months old. So when the baby was 2 months old, my mom
who kicked
me out of the house.
Together with your baby?
Yes, together with my child. At first, my mother wanted the father of the child to take care. No, my mom wanted me to go to the father of the baby. But at a period of time, she changed her mind and said she wants the man to come and pick the child. That was in 2015. No, 2014. Yeah, 2014. Then there was another lady from SEK Church. This is her sign name. So this lady really felt sorry, and she was empathetic, and she took me in and the baby.
So when she took you in with the baby, how long did you stay? It was at night. It wasn't even during the day.
Imagine my mom kicked me out at night at around 8.
So not even caring about any conversation in the morning, or she told you to go.
She didn't want me to say anything. She didn't want me to contribute anything. My mother over a sudden just changed. I really don't know why. I don't understand why my mom really changed. But for me on my side, I felt that was not good. Even if you don't love me, why don't you just love the child that I have? And I had a stepdad, and also when my stepdad came, he also changed. So at this period of time, they are quarreling. I am deaf, I can't hear, and it was at night. So that's when my mom kicked me out of the house.
So your friend came and picked you. Your friend from ACK Mombasa. Did she come and pick you, or what happened?
Yeah. That the lady, she's hearing, and she's our neighbor. I think she had everything that went on. She came and took me from my home, and we went to her house. It was a little bit far, so we went and slept there till morning. So in the morning, I used the phone, and I texted my friend, please come and pick me. So my friend came and picked me, and my friend really have a good heart. She took me in and the baby. We were both of us. We went together and stayed with her. We were feeding well, and she didn't want to care if I was deaf. So I stayed for around 6 months. And this time, I was communicating with the father of the child, but it wasn't a smooth communication. We had challenges, and these challenges continued for a period of time, and I was suffering. So this man told me that bring my baby and leave the baby with me, and you can do what you want to do.
So the man wanted you to actually just take the baby and for you to just go, or what was his issue?
He just wanted the child. Hakunitaka mimi. He just told me to give him his baby and I leave. So meaning, Mimi, I take my child, I give the baby to him, and I leave.
So where were you to go, or what was really happening at this time?
So I looked for fare, and I boarded a matatu in the morning, and I went to town in Mombasa. So with my things, my clothes, and also the baby's things, that it was only one bag that contained my clothes and the baby's things. So I boarded a vehicle to Mombasa. So when I alighted, the man came to pick me, and he asked me, where is the baby?
He wanted to take the baby. So you mean you've just gotten here, umefika, and all he wants is the baby? Like his hands are ready to get the baby?
Yes. I was just lucky because my friend had a good heart. She took me and the baby. We went to her place.
At this time, the baby is 2 months.
Yes, 2 months. So we stayed there till the baby was 8 months. So we boarded the vehicle again. We went. So the man. So we left the man, and the man kept on disturbing me till morning. So the lady asked, so previously we've had a good relationship with this man, but over a sudden he has just changed. So he kept on disturbing me. He went on disturbing me from the morning all through the night and the morning. So this time I was really tensing. And the baby, at this time, the baby was now 2 years. So for me, I didn't know anything. So for me, I left the baby with a friend of mine, and I left the baby with this man, and I stayed around where this man is. So later, the man texted me, "Which kind of mother are you? Come pick your baby. Mbona unaniachia mtoto wako? So, come pick your baby, you go to Nairobi." So for me, I went and took my baby. And I told a friend of mine to help a place to sleep. So my friend of mine said no, and I respected that. In the evening, the baby started crying. So one man asked me, "Why is the baby crying, and where are you going?" So later, the police came, and some policemen, their hearts are soft, and others, their hearts are not just soft. So when they came, they called the man and they asked him, "Why have you left your wife out here alone, and they have nothing?"
So the police, how did they get to know that you have a baby on the road and everything?
The baby
happening?
was screaming and shouting. So I tried to breastfeed the baby, but the baby doesn't want to feed. She's just crying and crying and crying. So I told them that I'm from Nairobi, so I gave them my side of the story. So the man came. So the man came with the cousin. No, the man didn't come, but rather the cousin came. His cousin was working in an organization. He was working in an organization, so he came and took me, and we went to his house. So we stayed there for 2 days, and he asked me, "What plans do I have?" So I called a friend of mine. And I explained myself, because the baby was disturbing me. She was really crying and everything. So that friend of mine advised me to take the baby back home, and we went back home. When we went back home, not home where my parents are, but at my friend's place, the baby kept quiet. So that's when my relationship with my friend started building, and right now it's in a good place. Now it's, I think, 2 years, and again another problem emerged.
So this is the girl or the person who kicked you out, or what is happening? Who are these people?
The parents. So his parents, the parents of the man, they wanted us to stay together, but for me, you see, I had that tendency of going and coming back at the same time. So that's when another problem came. So his parents, they didn't like me, and this was another problem. So one day in the morning, his mom called me and told me to come. And this man didn't have a well-paying job. There was also a friend of mine who was selling he had a mtumba business. So he sent me some fare, and I went home. So I stayed till morning, and I was patient and okay with that. So in the morning, I went home. So I went to this man's home, and I had not carried any cloth when I was going. And when I was there, they asked me to do something, but for me, I wasn't really ready because I wasn't prepared. So they kicked me out.
So they at this time, where is the baby when they're kicking you out?
The baby was with the mom at home. So they kicked me out alone. And the mom came back home late from work. And sometimes the baby was sleeping with the grandparents. So the baby was not sleeping with me. So early in the morning, they came, they opened the door because I had closed the door from inside. So they opened the door and I was still sleeping. So when they entered into the house, they kicked me out and they told me to go. So I was wondering, God, why are these things happening to me at the same time? So later I asked the man, why did you allow your parents to throw me out? So the man told me that he will come and pick me. So I asked him, where is the baby? Then he said that he was taking care of the baby. And I asked him, where is my baby staying right now? Because for me, I'm in Nairobi town. What do you want me to do? I have nowhere else to go. I'm in Mombasa. And my life has been complicated, and you know that. So that's my past life. And in 3 months, I was just moving around. And I was moving around, staying with friends for a period of time. I move again, I stay with other friends. So later, I found a job. So I went to work. And I left the baby with the father. And at this period of time after I found work, he changed his behaviors and we started communicating. So because this was my baby, and he married another wife, the wife decided to take care of the baby.
So did you just accept and allowed yourself to move on, or?
Yeah, life continued because I didn't want arguments with the family, and also we weren't that connected. So I decided to leave the baby up to now. The So I don't know if the baby really know me. So the baby doesn't really know me that much.
Viewers, we're going to take another short breather and we'll be back soon. Welcome, viewers, and we were ready to continue with the story. So you said when you decided to leave everything, the father was the one responsible in taking care of the parents, and the parents had already, and the guy had already gotten another wife, so you had left the responsibility of taking care of the child. So you just decided to leave and go get a job and continue the life. So please continue with the story.
So I got a job in Embu, and I worked from 2018. So in 2018, I met another hearing man.
Okay.
And that time, I've gone to work in the field. and I was working in a factory, an industry. So I went to work in the field. So we had a conference where different people came, and so I met this man in that conference, and we were working together. But they were working with our company as partners. So the two of us started dating after we met. So we dated after a period of time, and then I got pregnant. Now this is the second pregnancy. So when I got pregnant, my boss was very worried. So he didn't know what he could do. So he decided to ask me to go home and to take a rest.
But was this like unemployed at this point?
And remember, I had been employed for 2 months. I've been working for 2 months only. So that man told me to leave what I was doing. So I left everything and I decided to join him in Kilifi and to stay with him. So when we started staying with him, our life ilikuwa sawa.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. So for me, I really felt very nice and I loved this man. And there was no pain or struggles or challenges in this relationship. So till the time I became pregnant, and the first trimester in my pregnancy, the life was good until the time I gave birth. So problems started again when I gave birth.
So from when you were pregnant and before, everything was good, but when you gave birth?
Yeah, everything was good, but when I gave birth, problems started. I think they started when I was about to give birth. Yeah. So I experienced some problems when I was I feel he was very careful when I was pregnant so that I could not have a miscarriage. But when I gave birth, that was when it started. So I received a call asking me why I'm treating my sweetheart at that period of time. So this led to some quarrelings, and I felt this one wasn't a healthy relationship that I thought at first. And at this period of time, they also started abusing me, being deaf, I'm stupid.
So everything was being brought in different situation, or explain to us everything how what it was happening.
So I decided to take a number from his phone. He had another lady, so I decided to take a number from the phone and text that lady. That's when the quarrels started. So this guy had another relationship. So this lady kept on texting this man. So continue texting. So this lady that was texting was my friend. So this brought problems.
So he said you were shouting at him, or what was actually happening?
So he said that my voice was high. So even in the first boyfriend that I had, the parents thought that I was really shouting than a deaf should do. But for me, I wasn't shouting. So this man said that I was shouting, I should bring my voice down, and that he hates such behaviors. So when we are the both of us, I gave birth, So the problem, I've said earlier, the problem started. So he used to go to work, but now the problem is with my family. And also when they employed a house girl, the problem also started because this house girl didn't understand sign language, so there was language barrier. So she was rude. I felt she was rude. So when she started saying that I was bad, so this man thought that it was me who had a problem. So later, we solved this problem and we continued on well with life. So we didn't have any other problem, but the problem was communication, because we didn't used to have a conversation. So I used to tell him, to encourage him to at least to learn sign language so that he could understand me and also understand how I feel. So that so that he stopped being on the side of the house help and try to understand what was going on, because every time we had an argument, he was always defending the house help, which this didn't sit well with me. So later, I decided to kick out this house help and get another house help. So this guy said that he told me that I was not good. How could I have kicked out the house help? So so I sat down and I asked myself, why does this man think it's not good for me to kick out the house help? So for me, I found time. I went to Kilifi. So I left the baby with the mother-in-law. So we agreed on everything. And I went to work. So when I went back to work, there was a lot of challenges. So there were different challenges that I experienced when I went back to work. So I texted this man to at least lend a hand to help. So this guy misunderstood me, and sometimes when I wanted to visit, the mother used to say that I complain a lot, and that was not my side. So I asked for fare to go and visit, but he did not send me the fare. So the mother really understood and asked me if I want to purchase something, I do it in less quantities so that I can save something. But it reached a time also the mother started complaining. So for me, I really wondered, because they expect me to bring some shoes for the child, but I didn't. So this really, so this time I've gone back to school. So I texted this man, but this man didn't text back. So that's when I think we ended everything, and I continued living my life, because every time I needed help, he thought I was lying. So I saw it was better for us to separate, because there's no need for us to stay together, and we can't really have a good conversation. And this time, remember, I've gone back to school. So I say that I need a break at this period of time, because I felt this was the high time we separated, because for me, I wanted to continue with my life, but this man felt that I was really lying to him at a period of time when I said I've gone back to school. So I said it's better for us to separate, because this marriage is really not helping me. Because even right now, I really need that concentration to concentrate in school, because I've gone back to school. Because the church had selected me to go back to school. So the man didn't want to hear that. So I told this man, I asked this man what he wanted. Before I met you, I had another baby. And the baby stays with the father. So I texted the father of my firstborn child, and I asked if I could go have a discussion with them so that I could take the baby to stay with my mother. So the family refused. They told me that I have another child. Why not pick the other child and go allow your parents to take care of the other child? So I remember we didn't have that good relationship, because the father of this child we've never stayed together. We tried to stay together, but it wasn't that easy. So in this time, the case was different, and it was very much hard for me to pick my child up to now. So the only thing is we keep on quarreling, and there's a lot of challenges between me and the guy. So I try texting the father of my child to at least give me the opportunity to be with my children, but they don't want. I've even gone to the children's office to at least text the man so that I can get the child. But up to now, everything is hard. I've not succeeded in getting them, all of them, up to now. So I've never even gone near that place, and I'm very much stressed, because I keep on researching and looking for help from different places, but it's still hard. Most of them, when we say we're going to court, they ask for money, and that discourages me and makes me give up. So for me, I'm really not sure about this, but I hope one day that I I hope one day that as I continue with this advocacy journey, I hope that everything will be successful. And I also hope that no other person is going to suffer the way I've been affected by everything. And my mother, before she died, she helped me to get back my child. But now when she died, the story changed. So now, right now, I'm alone. I'm fighting alone to get the child. But I encourage all women to never give up. They should continue with their life and advocating for their life. And one day, God will touch the hearts of these people, and they will change their mind.
Viewers, I believe you've heard from the story, and I'm sure you all can get an opportunity. You all can see that life can never give you everything, but the opportunities that come your way, they're going to be well. We hope that she's going to be getting her children back. Thank you, my viewers. I have been your host, Videlis Njoki, here on The Voice Show at Science TV. Goodbye.